Bam, audio.
I can't. God damn it. Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sokscast, episode 2. Today, I have two very, very good guests with me. I have both the creator of probably one of my favorite levels, To the Blue Moon, Vridge himself, as well as the verifier, another one of my good friends, MaxVilocity. So, go ahead and introduce yourselves, guys.
It's an honor to be on the Sokscast.
Yeah, thank you for having us. For real. Yeah, I'm Vridge. I made To the Blue Moon. I'm primarily a creator in this game, but I do a little bit of playing. Not really, though. I'm not active or anything. My playing days are over, mostly. Yeah, I've got 5 solos. More on the way, hopefully.
Now, those of you who have been with the channel for some time, you may recognize Max's name, as I steal almost all of his music for my videos.
I am Max. I verified To the Blue Moon. I make music. Boom uses it. I don't know if it's because he thinks I'm the GOAT or if it's because there's no copyright strikes because I'm not popular enough to have any, but you know. I'm making bank when I get that.
So, for this episode, I want to break down just the process of you building To the Blue Moon, Max's process of verifying it, as well as like some of the more intricate things about the level. And my diving off point is the song. I adore the song. I'm going to play it in the video right now because I want everyone to listen to it. It's absolutely beautiful. How'd you find it? What caused you to like choose it for Moon?
So, that song, my first kind of exposure to it, because I go to different places for different music, right? Like Spotify is for, I don't want to say actual music, but for like more mainstream shit, if that makes sense. But that song, it actually came up in YouTube recommended when I was on YouTube for music, listening to some shit, and that song was in the suggested, and it was under a different name because, from what I understand, it's a mashup of a load of different sounds from a different game, which I think is really fucking cool. But it was Yume Nikki, the game, actually, I think, which I don't know anything about. But it was, the name of it was under like, it was just called the Yume Nikki mashup or whatever. And from there I just kind of tracked it down, and I think the earliest I could trace it back to was like 2008. So it's old as fuck, but it really stuck with me. It's a really, really, really cool song.
Yeah.
Now, when you first found the song, did you start to like did you start to process the idea of Moon, or was it just it started as a layout, you were just having fun making to with a really good song?
No, there was no big clear ideas for it. It was just the layout I was building.
Yeah.
I guess this is a good segue to talk about where Moon came from, unless that's a question you have lined up.
Oh, say again?
This would be a good place to talk about like where Moon came from, unless that's a question that you had lined up already.
Oh, yeah, it kind of is, but if you want to jump into it now, I'm more than welcome.
Yeah, I can do that. I preferred the layout to Moon in every single way than what I was making before it.
Yeah.
Which was a level called Lacuna. I know you've seen it, Boomsocks. It's in the very deep recesses of your brain because you you commented on the vid on the reveal preview.
Oh, okay.
So I know for a fact you've seen it, but I doubt you remember it. It was a space themed level. And it just wasn't very good. It just wasn't hitting. Like,
yeah.
I was in such a weird place as a creator at the time, because Peru, since I was just so checked out for, just in every way, which was my 3rd level, To the Blue Moon's my 4th. But I was so checked out during that time, and I just kind of started making something again. It looked okay, it looked just very old, it looked like it was like kind of years out of date. not
Yeah.
like in a bad way. There was no kind of soul to it. And when I started making the layout for Moon, I preferred it so much more, and then just started it started with me reusing assets from Lacuna, just stuff that had matched the song.
Yeah, and then kind of reworking it in its own way.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think at the little break part between the pre-drop and the drop, the little shooting star effect that happens is just directly ripped. I tweaked the easing a little bit, but it is directly ripped from that other level. Like, that other level had some cool deco pieces, but it just didn't have anything to it. There was just no soul. The song was just
Not it.
It's a cool song, but it's not meant for a level. I don't think it's way too sort of dragged out, if that makes sense. Like, there's just not a lot to like build with. It was just not, that level was just not it. But it did end up reworking its way into Moon, and it did end up giving me that over time. And I just eventually just jumped ship, cancelled Lacuna altogether, and made the switch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, early on into Moon's creation, Max, you were like pretty involved with it.
Yeah, so
You've watched it grow from like a simple layout to like seeing the level get finished.
when Vridge had first sent me the layout, all he did, he sent me an ID. He was like, peep this. And I think Vridge and I weren't super close before Moon. That kind of happened over the course of Moon's development. And he had sent me the layout, and I went to play test it. And the first thing that hit me was the song, like you had mentioned. There's just something special about it. Vridge put it into better words than I could have, but like the song really sucks you in. And there's something about the gameplay that before any decoration was planned, before any text was put in the level, before anything, just the way the level flowed and the song already kind of felt like it was telling a story, and it felt really just leagues ahead of anything that I think he had made before. No offense, Vridge. Bruce, it's a school.
No, none taken. You're absolutely right.
So I was pretty adamant that I was like, yeah, this is like awesome. Please continue working on this. And I think I still have the very first copy of the layout. I have like 12 copies of Moon over the course of its life cycle.
As it continuously got updated over time.
Yeah.
Compared to, speaking of like your other levels like Berusins and Elucins, what kind of separated Moon from these levels for you?
Okay, so like, my life was just very different when I started making Moon. Like, my outlook just in general was so different, and I think Moon was the point where I started like building for myself. Like, for that level, it was just kind of, I mean, I guess we're talking more like deco and theme in here more than anything. The gameplay, I always just, it comes to me very quickly and very naturally, building layouts. Sometimes they're not very good, but like, it does. But
you still make them.
Yeah, for sure. It comes to me so naturally. But I think, like, that is the point where I was just like, I'm going to start creating what I want to see in this game. Like, rather than creating something that I think just would be a cool idea. Like, does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I feel it's probably like a beneficial way to look at it too, because you won't compare yourself to whatever standard is out these days. You're creating for yourself, essentially.
Yeah, exactly, and I mean, you can't really compare that level, I feel, with my other stuff, just because the style is so dated purposefully.
Yeah.
Like, the roots of it are from like 2017, like the roots of that style, and I just kind of like worked on it and made it look good. Like, I just took some really old ideas and just sort of tried my best to expand on them, and that ended up being the final result. But it was stuff that I saw potential in. It was stuff that I was really inspired by back then that I thought was really cool. So it was really cool to sort of like revisit some old, like, early 2.1 levels, try and rework them a little bit. Some 1.9 levels especially, like, there's so many 1.9 design creators that I was inspired by.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's kind of what separates it the most. I think it was all kind of outlook, intention, that sort of thing.
Now, kind of coming back to some of your inspirations for it, what were some of the main things other than working on your own levels at the time? Like, who were your big go-tos for for ideas and whatnot?
Do you mean like other creators?
Other creators, other like levels.
Yeah, I will say it forever. Oro is the go. Astronomer's Night is genuinely one of the most impressive levels for its time, because that level to this day looks so clean, and it was from, I think, the first couple, like maybe the first 6 months of 2.1.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's so like unique too. Like, you don't see too many other levels of a similar style.
Exactly, for sure. And I think that level and like Oro's other stuff, like Shadowgraph, had some. Although that level's a lot lesser known, but that had some influences on me too. It's just his whole creating style I find so interesting. It's not like anything I've ever seen, like in this game ever. I think maybe some other kind of inspirations would have been, I mentioned 1.9 creators earlier, Pokey/Angelism.
Ooh, yeah.
Pokey is insane. Like, only he could make early 2.0 garbage look so good. Like, genuine, that one level I think is called System Drive or System Split, one of the two. But it's very, very, very good. Like, all of his stuff is really good. But those two creators have some parallels in their design. So it was kind of just like, in some sense, watching the same creator grow and just... It's really weird. It's kind of difficult to explain, but it's like one creator that goes in 2 different directions.
Yeah.
Like, you can tell it's the same style, it just evolves in different ways. But it's yeah, those two are probably my number ones.
The goats.
Now, Max, you've been, like I said earlier, you've been playing the layout since it first started. So,
yeah,
watching it kind of evolve must have intrigued you in some way. Because I know, I've played a couple of the versions, and I know they varied in difficulty from like pretty hard Insane Demon to harder than it was to where it is now, obviously.
The first layout I received, TTBM PT2, it was like... Shut up. It was like straight up a 7-star. But like not in a bad way. It wasn't structured. We didn't know what the level was going to be yet. It was still just fresh off the press, kind of. Here's this layout. And the difficulty kind of swung around a lot, but we knew pretty soon that we wanted it to be at least Extreme Demon.
Yeah.
There's just something about the gravitas of an Extreme that makes the level feel more important. It really shouldn't be that way, but it's kind of the way it is. And by the end, we had something that was approaching Bloodbath's difficulty. We kind of had to make a decision if we wanted this to be entry extreme or like mid-entry extreme. There's so many tiers of extreme nowadays. We ended up deciding that Bloodbath was a pretty decent difficulty target.
Yeah.
And so the version that's on the servers right now is pretty comparable to that. Some people say it's harder than Bloodbath, some people say it's easier. I've played both. I verified Moon. I have like 52 on Bloodbath. I'd say they're roughly equivalent in difficulty. The only difference is I want to play Moon and I don't want to play Bloodbath. So.
I still feel like that's a pretty large factor in it, but I know Moon is one of your favorite levels, and I mentioned it's one of my favorite like extremes, probably levels too. It's just very well made. The gameplay flows so nicely. I think
Moon is my favorite level. I think I'm probably biased because I did verify it, but it was just such a good experience from start to finish.
Yeah.
Like, Moon took me a really, really, not a long time, but a lot of effort. My final attempt count on Moon was like 20,000 something.
Yeah.
Which is like a lot of attempts for an extreme of that difficulty. But at the time, I was jumping to it from Cataclysm, which... You know, some people don't even know if Cataclysm qualifies as an extreme these days, let alone going from that to Bloodbath, so... But, like, the thing about it is I put in all those attempts in such a short amount of time because I just wanted to play the level. It was fun. I didn't care that it was hard.
Yeah. So, what would you say is one of your, like, biggest struggles during this verification?
There's this wave part at 50%. The level's difficulty is almost a perfect triangle, where it starts off kind of easy and it kind of gets harder as you go, and it peaks right in the middle and then gets easier toward the end, which I think is just excellent balancing. It makes it easy to start on and easy to be far in, but still difficult enough that you don't feel like it's not worth your time.
Yeah. I know for me at least, I found the pacing of it like really good. It went with the song very nicely, which probably helped it a lot, but just the way everything flowed after the like most intense part of the level, it was still hard, it was still challenging, but it wasn't in a way where you would like stress about it, because it was still fun gameplay, and it was a lot less intense than when you're in the middle of all of it.
Yeah, for sure. No, there's at like exactly 50%, there's this wave part, which looking back on it isn't the worst, but there's this wave followed by a few pretty difficult robot jumps and some UFO timings that really good looking part, the Lunar Ruins S tier in the Moon part tier list. But it is very, very difficult, especially when you like have the nerves of being more than half through a level of that difficulty. Getting past that was a bit of a struggle.
Yeah.
I'd only gotten past it like less than 20 times total during verification, and that's not because the second half was so much easier, but just getting past that, it was a bit of a choke point for a while. Some balancing changes have been made, and there was an update, so it's in a bit of a better state now. But I'd say the biggest struggle was just it's a very, very difficult level for me, and B, that I don't want to call it a choke point because it isn't anymore, but at the time that like choke point right at 50 was tough.
Now, you mentioned the Lunar Ruins, so I kind of want to swing it back around to that, because I don't know the name of every section of the level, but there's a few that have like stuck with me ever since I've seen the level verified, namely the conservatory and the bridge. But what was like the main idea of creating all these sections, and what do they like mean in the greater context of the level?
Okay, so naming the parts, the idea for that didn't come until much later into development. It kind of stemmed from the idea, and Max can correct me if I'm wrong, but it kind of stemmed from the idea of us talking about To the Blue Moon as like an open map. We just had a conversation like really late one night and was like, I was just kind of like, it reminds me of like this kind of open world with like different locations. And the first one we named was the Bridge, and which was kind of naturally the first one because I always wanted it to be like that. I always wanted the bridge to look the way it did, and kind of be a bridge, like a physical bridge, between parts. So I knew it was going to be like that, and then we just got into the habit of calling it the Bridge. And then from then we kind of just, rolled with it and came up with a load of different ones. But the Conservatory is another one, which mostly comes from the fact it has like a glass background. And I think that part is very kind of like natural feeling, kind of wild feeling, if that makes sense. It kind of doesn't, but yeah, that's where they came from.
We had talked about the idea of like a moon RPG. Again, don't ask where the conversation came from. It was like fucking 2 a.m. And we were like, moon RPG, yes. And then the reason we gave names to the parts is because we had nicknames for some of the structures. Like there's this little straight fly right after the dual wave that we called Moonfly because it's made of moons. And that one UFO part right before Conservatory was always called the Bridge. It is weirdly fitting, and there is something kind of special about Conservatory being it was the first finished part in the level. Like it was the first one to have deco completed. Like even before we had finalized gameplay, Conservatory was pretty much done being decorated. So there was always something kind of special about it. And you could see the moon in the background through the windows, and there was just something kind of enchanting about it. And we had landed on the name Conservatory, which felt really fitting. Dude, the last like 20% changed like 7
yes,
times.
I was gonna ask about that because I remember one of the first versions I like enjoyed the ending, and then obviously you changed it up. I prefer the second version, or the one that's on the servers, like, more to any other ending you had. It's so much fun. But it wasn't like that until the level was close to being done at that point.
Yeah. I think the reason it changed so much is because the ending had always been, I don't want to say chaotic, but fast-paced. There's a lot of quick game mode changes.
Yeah, especially
And
the song is like
the
building up to this really climactic ending.
to this release at the end, right? And so I think the issue stemmed from the fact that, well, the ending was overall solid. A lot of those little bursts of gameplay in one game mode were like, some of them were kind of ass, or some of them didn't flow well. And so we were swapping in like different sections, like this puzzle, trying to fit the ending together. So there'd be like 3 clicks in it that were different, and then like the whole part had to kind of change to revolve around that. It was a bit of a mess for a while.
Yeah. Now, were there any like other scrapped parts that kind of you were upset about leaving on the cutting room board?
The comet.
The comet?
The comet never made it into Moon. The comet is another asset from Vridge's older level, the one that preceded Moon. And like the one that the stars came from and stuff like that. There was this really nice looking comet slowly move across the screen. It was really, really cool looking, and we had always kind of intended to put it into the Blue Moon somewhere, but we could just never find a spot for it. Anytime we tried to put it somewhere, it just kind of stuck out.
Yeah.
So it never got used, unfortunately. It's a really cool looking asset.
Yeah, I think as far as, you know, scrapped ideas go, a lot of the ideas actually made it. There's not a lot as far as, you know, stuff being scrapped goes, especially not parts. Like, every part in the level was how it was started. Like, there's not any scrapped whole parts, just a couple of assets and ideas here and there, but nothing of like huge importance.
Most of the stuff that was scrapped from the level was for a good reason, like the orb in the first ship, for example.
Oh yeah.
Stop.
The only time Moon ever had bad gameplay was when that orb was in the level.
Now, another one of my like favorite elements about this level is there's almost like a puzzle-like aspect to it. You have a bunch of text in the level, telling this very like complex story, and I know it has like a lot of value to you. It's very tied to like personal stuff, but this like greater puzzle element. When did this spur about, and what caused you to like endow this level with so much like lore, essentially?
I don't know where it came from.
It was like, as the level started to be built, text started popping up, and I was like, hey Vridge, like, what's this about? He was like, I don't know, I kind of want to put like a story in the level.
Yeah.
And so,
because originally the story was going to be something completely
the story did change after establishing that there was going to be one.
Yeah, because, you know, I was dealing with some shit, but it was something completely unrelated to Moon at the time, like, but I was dealing with something, and I was like, I think it'd be, you know, really nice if I could, you know, kind of express that sort of thing. It was just kind of a fuck around and find out moment, if I'm going to be honest. Like, there was no massive intention behind it, and the text started appearing. It was just stuff that, like, I didn't know if I was going to keep. I was just kind of going to soft launch it, see how Max felt about it. And from then, I just kind of got wacky as shit. When you say puzzle element, you talk about the ciphers.
Yeah, Moon has a lot of... It became a project not just as like this level, but also it's a pretty large cryptography adventure if you really, really look into it.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say it right now. There is an unsolvable cipher in that level.
There is. Me and
Like,
Vridge, and I think one other person know how to solve it. Yeah, I don't think anyone else does.
There is flat out an unsolvable cipher in that level, and obviously, like, there is an answer. Like, it is technically solvable, but the issue is you won't be able to find it.
You can go looking, and Vridge's Twitter is private. Mine isn't. If you think you've found it, please tag me just at MaxVilocity with
Yes,
the
I will have.
on
I
Twitter.
will have both their tags in the
Yeah,
description.
we will confirm if you found it. It's incredibly difficult to find and even more difficult to solve, but it's in there. It's possible to solve, and you will get extreme bragging rights.
Yeah, I'm being so for real. I will, like, if anyone finds it, I will come up with some kind of
We
prize
will.
reward.
We
I don't
will
know what
all
the fuck
shout
it's
you
gonna
out
be, but, like,
and have some sort of
Shout out.
dedication for you because that is impressive.
yeah, I'm so confident it's never ever gonna get
Well,
solved.
ladies and gentlemen,
there's a lot
there's
of-
the challenge. Go solve the puzzle.
Yeah, there's a lot
Yeah.
of...
Give
Go-
Moon a like
go
while
and
you're there
solve
as
it.
well.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, for real. Give me the 1K. Like,
It's got
on-
19k downloads, which isn't nearly enough. There needs to be at least 2 more zeros.
But,
There's a lot of hidden stuff in the level,
yeah.
but there's this one.
There really
element
is.
we're talking about.
I think some of it's on the nose. I'm gonna just like spoil probably the easiest cipher in the level, and I think the most obvious one. The end screen. I don't know if you picked up on that, Boom Socks.
Which element of the end screen?
text.
Okay. Yeah. That big,
You know what I mean?
that big piece to the left of everything.
Yeah. So the end screen is a hint to my next level, which
Yes.
obviously we'll save that. But the end screen is capitalized in a very particular way. That's probably the easiest cipher, I think.
Oh,
Probably
yeah.
the easiest one to find and
Yeah.
solve. I think there's quite a handful more in the level that are more difficult. But yeah, they're all there. They're all there in places. Like inside the level, above the level, like they're all there.
So yeah, go check out To the Blue Moon by Vridge. See if you could solve this unsolvable puzzle. And if you do, we'll all shout you out.
Yeah.
It'll be a nice little,
Yeah, for
little
real.
game for us.
I will let you in
I will
my
be
private Twitter. That is the
Thoroughly
reward. I will let you in my
to
private Twitter.
anyone. It's true. Only I have been granted such things. You will join the ranks of the Boon Men.
Now, obviously you didn't sit down and grind out Moon over the course of like a month or something. It took you a decent amount of time, which it was 7 months?
6 months was development.
Now,
time.
were you on it the whole time, or did you have some time where you like sat back or like were
I
stuck
think
on
I'm gonna
ideas
let
or
Max
something?
kick this part off, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Moon had started off kind of strong. It was a bit slow, like when the layout first happened, but as soon as Conservatory was finished, which happened very fast, there was a lot of like parts were being decorated, ideas were being thrown out, the text was showing up, the cryptography, the story, that kind of stuff. And then there had kind of been a point of stagnation about 2 months in.
Yeah.
And I was distraught. I was absolutely not having it. And so I had went to Vridge, and I don't want to say I was on his ass about it, but I was kind of on his ass about it. And every once in a while I'd poke him and be like, how's the Moon process
Man,
coming
you
along?
broke fuck off.
Yeah, because there had been no motivation, I don't think. But I'm kind of glad that I did that in the end, because I think I shaved what could have easily been another 2 months, maybe more, off of Moon's
Yeah, like for sure. I
development and
think
puberty
all of
time.
the,
So
I don't want to say nagging, but the poking was what got me back into this, because I was kind of like, it was about 2 months in where I had like a month, maybe a month and a half of just like not showing up. Like it was just not something I was there for. The
He was not
yeah, the
present.
problem the problem is like for me in this game, the imposter syndrome hits so bad, like, and it really does. And I don't know, I'm pretty sure I just said to Max, like, I don't know if I'm gonna finish this. And I know I was very, very vocal about not sure, like I wasn't sure how the level was gonna land and be received. Just because the style is so old. And I was just like, I was in such a state where I was just like, it's not something I want to work on. I don't know if it's going to be worth it. I don't know if it's particularly, outstanding in any way. It's just kind of like, I was just kind of off it, and then I left it for about a month and a half-ish, and then Max sort of brought me back to it, and then it was kind of consistently coming along.
Now, another element about the level that I found really creative was some of your endings. You would have a little like secret endings in there. I don't know how many have been discovered yet, so I'll keep my mouth shut if you want to keep the rest of them a secret. But
I'm pretty sure one person's done both.
Someone's done,
or like
someone's
not,
done
like at least one
someone's
person
done the
has
boom
done.
socks route.
someone's done the boom sock
And I know
route?
someone's done the Hellgate X route. Didn't Karibo
Yeah, but he
do the
did
Hellgate X route?
his replay is showcase is hack. Yeah, he never actually beat it, but
Okay.
yeah, the boom socks route.
Okay. Well, I will include the showcase in the video.
Yeah, if I can find the guy that did the boom socks route, I will send you the link so you can have that too. But
Okay.
yeah, because someone's done that one too. I'm pretty. Are there any more?
I don't think so. I think it's just those two.
No, the calling route was not this level. The calling route was not this level. But yeah.
No, it wasn't. Well, we had had plans for a third because we figured 3 was a nice. It's round number, but we just couldn't find any place to put it. I mean, there is the ultimate secret ending, which totally is real. You have to get the key, make it alive. But
I'm not gonna go on record and dispel anything, but the amount of people that have directly come to me and been like, "What is the key?" is hilarious. There's so many people that have asked me about that. It is fucking hilarious.
You just gotta get it. You gotta get the key.
It does have a function. It does have a function. It does work. It does.
This is true. The key does do something.
Work.
I can confirm this.
You can. It does fucking do something.
So, Moon for the entirety of Haha was huge, because none of us really we had decent creators, but none of us really thought we were up to standards. But you were able to make this masterpiece of a level. And
there was 2 reasons I think Moon was really big for Haha. First and foremost, during its production and release, no one in our circle. We should probably clarify. Haha is the name of our server with
yes,
our friends.
some of the oldest people I've met in once I joined the game. Firobot, Micros, Vridge and MaxVilocity, obviously, as well as a handful of others that I mentioned in other videos.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so big because everybody was loving how it was coming along. It was so much fun and it looked so good, and we never thought that out of our circle we could produce something so good. And this is a little taste of a later part of the video, but of course the fact that it was rated was the biggest event in Haha history, and I think forever will be.
Do you know what? I remember where I was when I fucking read the notif from Micros.
Yeah, Micros was the first to tell it. I'd been checking on it daily, but it was in the early AMs my time, so I didn't see it when it happened.
Fucking 2 a.m. 3 a.m. for me. And I got an app from Micros because I hate to break it to you guys, but I do have my Discord notifications off unless I get added. But I got the app and I was like, this has got to be something silly, it's just gonna be some kind of meme, and I opened it and it was a screenshot of a Discord server with the rate bot, and the way Haha chat caught fire in the next hour was
it
crazy.
It didn't matter where anyone was. It brought people who had been inactive for months back to life. It shot this huge thing of activity right into the group chat. It absolutely, we were on fire for a week.
It was a really
it was
special
crazy
moment, just seeing how everyone came together for it.
Didn't we have a big after party call once it got rated too?
It did it? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, we did.
Party.
We had yeah, and the thing, I think another reason it was so special is because we had kind of lost hope, because Moon was released on April 12th. and it didn't get rated until June 14th. So it had been 2 months. So we were kind of like, well, RobTop's probably seen it by now because we did have a few mod sends. So we were like, it's probably not going to happen. Dream's dead, but at least the level's really good. And then, like, right at that low point, we were still holding on a little, but just about ready to get up, or give up rather. It was rated, and it was such a moment.
Now, we touched a little bit on this earlier, but you have a sequel to, not a sequel, but a level tied to the Blue Moon called Masterpiece out on the servers. I'll leave the ID in the description as well as playing the video now. So it's a big aspect of like the Moon lore to have this antagonistic part, kind of. So what was the process of creating that like in comparison to Moon?
So, Masterpiece, I knew because when Moon started taking shape and started coming together, and I had kind of all the ideas, and I had a clear vision for where I wanted it to finish. I knew Masterpiece needed to exist, like, and the initial layout for that level started production before Moon was even done. It was always something that needed to happen, but it was a very, very different creating experience. That level was like fully cancelled for a period of time. How long was it cancelled for, Max?
2 months,
like
just
it was
about.
fully dead, no progress, no intention of finishing it for a good 2 months because my initial starting point, I started building, I had some ideas, I had some decoration, but like it just wasn't hitting, and I couldn't put my finger on why it wasn't hitting. I knew it wasn't hitting, but it was when Max told me like something just doesn't feel right, and that's when I was kind of like, this is something that is, there's something clearly wrong with the level. Like it feels like it should be right, but it just isn't. So I ended up getting rid of it completely. For a while, me and Max kind of tried different directions because I was listening to a whole lot of folk music at the time, and that was kind of a real big inspiration for both of these levels. But I was listening to a lot of folk music, and then I was just kind of like, what if we do it, but if we take it in a completely different way? We trialed 3 different folk songs for it. I'll record the layouts for you.
Okay.
I will reveal those.
Masterpiece's little faces.
Sure. There was one of them was the bug collector. None of the layouts was full. There was just different. There were just small little sections to see what would stick.
Yeah.
To see if it was worth it. I can't remember who the bug collector's by, but it's a really good song. And then there was Randy, the song called Randy by Big Thief. That's a really fucking good song too. But we tried that. That one was good. And then I basically combined the bug collector and Randy into a different level. Vegas was by Big Thief as well. Used that song. But none of them had any development. They were all just like 10-15 second layout gameplay parts just to see if they'd work, and they didn't. So then Masterpiece was just dead from then. I gave it to Max completely. He rebranded it. I can't. What was it called? Celestia?
Yeah, I called it Celestia. Masterpiece was so dead and in the gutter. I had been given the layout, and I practiced some decoration on it. And it's still probably the best deco I think I may have ever made. Maybe until quite recently.
But there was absolutely no overlap between Max's version and mine. It was literally just the same layout and the same song.
They have nothing to do with each other.
Yeah, Masterpiece was definitely a lot rockier than Moon was, for sure. It was very troubled for a long time. And, you know, after my 2 months of having it cancelled, I kind of just brought it back. Like, I just kind of tried again, changed what didn't work, like, basically built it all again from the ground up, like, completely reworked the layout, completely reworked all of the deco that was there, changed the colour scheme,
Yeah.
And from then, it was 3 months. That level took 3 months of me coming back to it to finish.
Damn.
It was a
Yeah.
major
It was,
grind.
it took
It's unlike,
very much.
I was gonna say, unlike Moon, where the deadline was like mostly arbitrary. It was like we wanted to get it out. For the first time in 6 years, the threat of an impending update was an actual
Yeah,
deadline.
like
And not to Masterpiece is gonna have its own
Oh yes.
video, but not to go too much into it. But Masterpiece was released less than a month before 2.2 came out.
it was,
so
really
a
close.
grind.
Yeah, like I don't know. Those 3 months were really, really stressful for me because I think the update got announced like maybe a month before it was finished, a month and a half.
Yeah, it
I would
was
say.
the end of September. I think the trailer dropped. It was like an update coming in October 2023.
Yeah. So
Yeah, had it come out in October, Masterpiece
I
would
reckon
have
so.
died
Let me.
online.
I'm gonna find out real quick when it was actually finished, just so we can sort of talk about how close it was. But yeah, it was just this huge sort of crunch period.
Yeah.
So yeah, from reviving it, it was 3 months of solid building and grinding until it was completely finished. That kind of unfortunately led to a bit of a sacrifice, but we'll get onto that later down the line.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was the development cycle for that level was real tough. I finished.
It went through.
Where is it?
big
I
development
finished
hell,
the
that's for
private
sure.
show was the day of finishing, not of verification. Was the 1st of October.
Oh my god. Yeah.
So like the 2.2
So-
trailer.
Yeah, the threat of 2.2
Yeah, I thought it was
was
a month.
really
It's actually just like 2-3 weeks. But yeah, from that point, it was just like, fuck, I need to like haul ass right now.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I mean, you clearly did. You got it out the day the update or would have earliest come out.
Yeah,
So
yeah, it was crazy stressful to have to.
I can imagine. Yeah.
And then the verification was also its own. its
Save
own.
that-
That we will
Masterpiece.
tackle for the
Yes,
Masterpiece podcast.
Yeah,
Coming.
we'll save that for the Masterpiece
Probably in a few
video.
weeks, we will see how the turns table.
Mm,
Yeah, but it was Masterpiece is very much the antithesis
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
what Moon was.
and while we're
In
here,
good
like,
and bad ways.
I just want to make the distinction. Masterpiece is not a sequel.
Yes,
I
I
know-
slipped up on that earlier, and I apologize. It is
Yeah, no, that's absolutely fine. Like,
just
I don't mind it being called that.
yeah.
Because I like.
Yeah,
I get where
they
you're coming
are-
from. It's not like a Geometry Dash thing to do. just to be so complicated and specific. But the way I look at it is that they are two sides of the same coin. They are one thing. They're just opposite sides.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Masterpiece is very much not a sequel. They're sort of like two stories contained within the same universe. Like Masterpiece is to Moon what The Hobbit is to Lord of the Rings, kind of deal.
That's a fucking wild comparison.
Yeah.
I mean,
Tell me I'm
I haven't
wrong.
watched
Can't.
those. I haven't watched those films in fucking like a decade, so I'm not gonna know. But
Now, just to kind of wrap it back to Moon for a little bit,
Mhm.
I got a question. Kind of relates to both of you, but in a weird way. What was your favorite part to make? And for Max, what was your favorite part to play?
Okay, let me pull up the vid.
I have the vid up. That's how I got those dates
I
for
need to
it
pull
being
up the
released
vid,
and
hold on.
rated.
Max, you go first.
All right, let me have a quick look here.
I'm gonna say my answer, and it is 70 to 100. It is my favorite gameplay in the entire game. It's just phenomenal.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, you know what? It's really tough for me because I really think every part of the level is an absolute hit. But there is something extremely special about two parts in particular. One is Conservatory. It is some of the best ship gameplay I've ever played. And the other one, of course, and Vridge will remember I harped on about this for a long time, is the dual wave. Is so much fun.
I do not
dual
disagree.
Wave
Once I learned the dual wave, it became incredibly fun.
Yeah. And like I had a complete like switch up in how I felt about the dual wave, because when it was first established and I was first trying to play it, I was like, this is ridiculously hard. Like, what is this? But like now, the dual wave and the part right after between the dual wave
Moonfly?
and sort of that
Correct.
last part around
Okay.
70. Yeah, like with Moonfly, that flows so well, and then everything after the dual wave is so good. But if I had to pick a part, I'd say the dual wave is so much fun.
You
Conservatory
fluked
is so
it,
much
didn't you?
fun. I did. My furthest death, I believe, was 72. And then
Yeah.
I had fluked the level from there. Let me
Again, another
just
reason
double-check
why
real
I
quick, too.
adore the ending, because it is, once you know it, it's unforgettable. It's like riding a bike. It's just that natural to play.
Yeah. It was 79 is the furthest death I had, and that was right before that sort of ending section. With the
I do
gameplay
have an
switches,
answer now.
Yeah.
My favorite part to build is the very first drop part.
Oh, okay.
I think
that was a lot of,
because the way I build, I know there's some psychopaths out there. I'm calling you out right now that like build a section and then decorate it and then move on to build another gameplay section. Stop. Like the layout was obviously already there, so it was just decoration left. But the first drop part is where I first kind of put my ideas in and really started experimenting with my designs, my structuring, that kind of thing. The colours, I think I fucking nailed in that part. I don't think I've ever made another set of colours that were quite as perfect as that, I think.
Yeah.
But like once I had the colours and stuff, it was just kind of me, messing around and seeing what looked good and trying to adapt things, and it was a lot of fun to make that part and see it come together.
So that's about it that I have on my end. But what do you guys have for like upcoming projects and whatnot? Yo, plug yourself.
Maybe we'll touch a little.
Plug myself. I think it's a good time to announce a project I've been keeping under wraps for a very, very long time. It's called Verix. It's a collab with me and some really cool guys. I've not hosted a collab like this before, and it's gonna be really hard. It's gonna be really sick. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. I can't say much more, but it's coming.
And Max, do you have anything? Your big reveals you got?
For me personally, when it comes to GD, not really. No, I do have some stuff I'm working on, trying to learn the 2.2 editor. Maybe making a level. I do have a song in mind. Outside of GD, I do make music, as discussed before, and I finally, after like a 2-month drought, I finally have drummed up something that I think could actually become a release. So, if you feel like it, keep an eye out for that. I cannot provide a release date because I'm so sporadic with working on that kind of stuff. It'll be nothing, and then I'll make an entire song in 2 hours, so. But, yeah, that's kind of what I got going on right now.
I will drop both your YouTube channels in the description, as well as every other link that's going to be attached to this video. There's going to be a couple down there, ladies and gentlemen. But thank you guys for coming on, talking about this amazing level.
Yeah, anytime. It's nice to be able to talk about this. It's something that is so... I don't know, I feel like it deserves to be
It is such a... I don't know. I mean, I'm a little biased because I watched the thing get built, but it is easily one of my favorite extreme demons. Just ever. Granted, I only have it in like 3 runs, but still, I have a decent handful of attempts on it. It's a very fun level.
We had an we hadn't touched on this very much, and we won't because it A isn't super important outside of us, and B isn't something I don't think we want to put out there. But the level holds a lot of personal significance for different reasons for both me and Vridge, and it's something that is very important to the both of us. And I really like how it came out. It is a very,
it's funny how the antithesis describes both levels because they're both masterpieces.
Yeah, I feel like To the Blue Moon officially started Vridge Era 2. Era 1 ended with Barusance.
But that is all I have. Thank you, everyone, for listening in. Leave a like, subscription, all that usual stuff. Subscribe to these two. Max makes music, and Vridge makes amazing levels. So you really... you don't lose either way. Anyways, thank you guys for coming on. I really appreciate it. And goodbye.